What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Lead 360 podcast. I am your host, Anthony Waite, and it's so good to be with you for another episode as we talk about life, leadership, and leaving a legacy, one that you will one day be proud of. Today's episode is for those of you who feel like maybe you're unqualified, maybe you don't have the credentials or the position or the confidence to lead or to fulfill a role that you are currently in or that you're striving to get to. I want to talk about the making of a 360 leader. And I'll share with you a couple of points that I think will help you look at things differently, because when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at begin to change. And how we view things determines how we will do things. And if you're like me, you weren't given everything on a silver platter. You had to go work for it. Things weren't handed to you. You had to dig deep and find within yourself the confidence, the competence, and the courage to go out there and chase dreams that were bigger than your current situation or circumstance. And so what I want to do is give you 3 points today that will help you understand this concept of a 360 leader. Because what I find today is there are a lot of leaders that are really good at barking orders, but they're not really good at following their own advice. I see a lot of leaders who are good at making a lot of money, but they lack the influence and the impact that they want to have in the lives of those they lead and those they love. We see a lot of leaders who are so physically fit, but mentally broken. And so I want you to think about the 360 concept as a well-rounded leader that isn't just full of themselves, but they're full of passion and purpose to help people reach their potential. And so if that's you, tune in, because today's going to be a pretty powerful episode that's condensed down into just 3 points. And there's so many I can go into, but I want to share with you the top 3 that I had to overcome that I feel like would be relevant to many of you who are watching this and who follow me, who interact on a day-to-day basis with me on the social platforms or through text message. And so what does it take to be a 360 leader or to become a 360 leader? And what is this phrase, built, not born, right? Many of us are not born into success. We don't have the blueprint. And so therefore we had to kind of create it. And that brings me to point number 1. You see, I wasn't given a blueprint. A lot of the things that I grew up looking at and people that gave me the example, they were the examples of what not to be. But how many of you know that that's just as powerful, if not more powerful, than being given everything handed to you? You see, I wasn't given the blueprint, so I had to become it. People ask, like, how did you get to where you are? Well, I followed what not to do. How did you become a good father and leader to your kids? Well, I didn't have a present and active father in my life, so I just did the opposite. As easy as it sounds, it's very difficult to do, because usually that path comes with a lot of adversity. But here's the thing, adversity doesn't build weakness, it reveals your strength. Again, this is changing the way you look at things, so the things you look at begin to change. And when you change the way you view things, it changes the way that you do things. And one of the biggest things that I had to do was overcome the way I looked at myself, the person that I saw in the mirror. It was a battle against me. The person that I saw back in the mirror was somebody that I wasn't proud of. And this battle between our ears is the biggest fight that we'll ever endure in our life. But if we overcome it, if we strive to rewrite that programming, to rewire our brains, there is nothing that can stop you except you. Understand that maybe you didn't have an example. Maybe you were like me and you got taught what not to do. But for some point in time, you just follow the blueprint that you were given. And eventually you realize that when you come to the fork in the road, or even the dead end, like I did, you have to make a choice. You have to ask yourself, am I going to continue to relive my past and focus on how it began? Or am I going to make a choice today on how it will end? You see, sometimes in our life, at some point, we have to take a hard look at where we are, look around, pause, and identify, are we where we want to be in life right now? In my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health, my relational health, my job, my current career or business that I'm in right now? Is this fulfilling my God-given potential? And is it helping me find purpose and meaning in my life? And for me, I found myself coming to that dead end and realizing that I am not where I want to be. And more importantly, I am nowhere near where God's called me to be. And so I had to make a choice, and I had to realize that adversity that I went through as a young kid, as a young man, as a teenager, all that adversity wasn't building weakness. It was revealing the strengths that lied within me. I just haven't become aware of it yet. Understand that if you don't have an example, that's good. Become the example, set the standard and become that standard and hold that standard. Stop trying to please other people and start looking at yourself and asking yourself, what habits and behaviors do I need to start creating in my life so that I can live in alignment with my assignment? When we refuse to settle for what we've been given, only then can we recreate and rewrite the legacy in which we've been given. You see, we have two choices. We can settle for what we've been given, or we can choose to rewrite our legacy and to reset, refocus, and re-engage on more fulfilling work, more meaningful work. But this takes a lot of work because many of us have settled in our life at some point. We've accepted good as good enough. But in order to become great, sometimes you have to just cut out the good things in your life, the things that feel good, the things that sound good, the things that society makes us believe is good. Many of that stuff is just built around comfort. It's built around ease. And there is nothing that I have ever achieved in my life that came easy. I had to work for it, and it took a lot of sacrifice. But remember, without sacrifice, there is no success. I have yet to see it. And so it's foolish of us to think that we're going to find this quote unquote success. And I always look at it as not success, but how do we find significance? It's through the sacrifices that we are willing to make. As we look at adversity in our life, understand this: just because life hands us a shit sandwich, it doesn't mean that we have to take a bite. We choose to take a bite. We make a decision to take a bite. And then we are made to believe that it's good and that this is all that God has given to us. And this is all I've been created for. And I see so many people that just get comfortable in the chaos and they stay there. But that's not you. That doesn't have to be you. And so what things do you need to rewrite this blueprint and create this blueprint for your life, to become the blueprint, to become the standard and live a life on purpose? Number one, you have to have vision. A vision for where you're going. If you do not have a vision and a target in which you are aiming at, you will be given one by somebody else. And let me tell you, they won't have much plan for you. And even worse, if we don't have a vision, we'll walk through life aimlessly, kind of like the plastic bag in the wind that just keeps floating and floating. There's a movie that I love, and it's Forrest Gump. And I watch it with my kids all the time. But if you remember the scene where he's sitting on the bench, it's the opening scene, and there's this feather that's just floating in the wind, and it lands and it touches something and it goes and it just floats and goes through the wind aimlessly. And then finally it'll land at a destination. But if that's you and you become that without a vision, you will land in a job that you hate. You will land in a relationship that does not serve you. You will land in poverty, not just monetarily, but physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And then you will settle because that's all that you feel that you're worth. Create a vision for your life that's bigger than your current situation or circumstance. Then you have to create your core values. What do you truly value? If I was to ask you today, can you tell me what your top 3 core values are? 90% of people that I speak to, coach, and train cannot identify their core values. And especially in the military, the Navy gives us core values in boot camp: honor, courage, and commitment. And most of the students and the people in the military that I serve with and that I speak to, they'll tell me that their core values are honor, courage, and commitment. And I always tell them that is completely false. Your core values are not honor, courage, and commitment. You have core values within you that drive you to do the things that you do every single day. If you tell me that you value your family, but you're still in the office at 10 p.m. and you don't go home and have dinner with your kids and your family, then do you really value your family? If you value your health, but you're 150 pounds overweight, do you truly value health? If you value your spiritual and your faith, how many times have you prayed this week? How many times have you read the Bible, read scripture, and aligned your life with the priorities that it says that you should align your life with? And so you have to start looking at your core values and saying, this is what I value, and this is how I become a person of value. How are you adding value to people? Are you going out of your way to compliment, or are you going out of your way to criticize? Are you building a life that's constructive, or are you building habits that are destructive in nature? Once you have your vision and values, then you got to create the virtues. These are your habits, your behaviors that put your values on display so that somebody doesn't have to come up to you and ask you, what do you value? You don't have to spend your time or waste your time really trying to prove to people who you are and what you stand for. You hold the standard by your actions, not through your words. So vision, values, and then virtues. Point number 2, You don't have to be born into greatness to become great. I see a lot of leaders, especially in the medical field, whose parents were doctors and surgeons and medical providers. And so they become medical providers, they become doctors and et cetera. They are given a blueprint. They are given the seeds to success at an early life, and good for them. That's great. But these are also the leaders that I find that struggle with connecting with people. They forget the human factor of leadership. You see, leaders are forged in fire, not in favor. It doesn't matter how you started. What matters is how you choose to finish. And so right now, today, you can make a choice to start aligning your vision, values, and virtues with who you're becoming, not from the person of past who made the mistakes, who had the failures, who were told that they were less than. You can choose today to become great and understand that you don't have to be handed greatness to become great. You just got to get started, and you got to stay focused and stay consistent. Understand that adversity is your advantage. And what I have found is you have to learn to appreciate the struggle. It's what makes us human. The thing about problems is that everybody has them and nobody likes them. But when we go through the struggle, when we have some kind of sacrifice or adversity, and we're able to share how we went through it and got over it and got through it, that's what connects us as human beings. It makes us real. But when you get into a position of leadership or authority and you look down upon people instead of coming down to meet people at where they are, you are separating yourself. You're building a wall and not a bridge. Understand that humility and vulnerability are huge when it comes to leading people. And most importantly, when it comes to connecting. Many of you are listening to this podcast or watching me speak because we have something that's relatable. Because I went through something and I let the shame and guilt, I put it aside so that I can connect and share with you the struggles to let you know that this path to get to where you want to be is never going to be perfect. It's always going to have problems. And how you get over those determines how you get through to where you need to be. But I see so many people today that try to chase this perfection. They try to live this flawless life. And I have yet to meet a great leader that has yet to have flaws. You have to be able to share those scars, those struggles, because that is what builds significance in the lives of those you lead and those you love. So how do we do this? You need a couple of things. Number one, you need integrity. Your actions have to match what you're saying. It's one thing to be motivational and inspirational. It's another thing to act in the manner in which you are preaching. Don't just be a preacher, be a practitioner. And when your words and your actions align, that's when you start finding yourself living with integrity. The next one is your work ethic. You got to put in the work in order to get the result. And how you build results is through the repetition. You might work hard, but not hard work alone does not build success. It's hard work repeated daily. It's the discipline that we dial in our daily lives that allows us to get the results. And once we get the results, that's when people understand that you are credible. It's not your degrees. It's not your certifications. It's not the achievements. It's the discipline that you dial in and the results that you get in your life. Not most importantly, it's the results that you help other people get as well. When you have work ethic and integrity backed with a heart that's aimed on service, understand that that is where you thrive as a leader. You have to have a heart for service. And when your heart's set on service, there's seeds to be sown everywhere you step. And also understand that your heart for service and your work ethic and your integrity trumps talent and ability all day long. You can be the most gifted and talented person, but if you lack integrity, if you have a poor work ethic, or your heart's set on selfish things instead of service, it's only a matter of time before you fail. We see this all the time. People that get to a high point in life, they're making a lot of money, they have a lot of influence and impact, and they lack the integrity. They slow down on their work ethic. Their heart is set on selfish reasons and selfish things. It's only a matter of time before your character is found out and they fall. And what I found is the higher you get, the further it is that you fall when you lack the character, when you choose to lead with credentials instead of your character. Your character is what keeps you in the room. Your credentials are what gets you in the room, but your character is what keeps you there. And speaking of character, point number 3, character is earned. It's not inherited. You see, you can inherit large sums of money. You can inherit a rich last name. You can inherit a position, a title, or some authority based on who you're associated with. But if you lack the character, you will not succeed as a leader. You will get into a position, you will be handed the keys, and you will find yourself in a position all by yourself. Understand this. God doesn't always choose the qualified, but he always qualifies the chosen. You see, faith has become a huge part of my life and my leadership just over the past few years. And I have realized that you can have fear or you can have faith, but you can't have both. And when you're leading people, they can sense that fear. They can sense whenever you are not acting in a manner that's conducive with the best interest of those you lead and those you love. And you can also lead by faith. And this is where you have a leader who is not just charismatic, but they also have the character to back it up. Those are the people that you surround yourself with, and you just get a good vibe. Like you want to be in that person's circle. You want to be led by them because you understand that they are able to lead you to the finish line. They are able to love on you and care for you and have humility to help you in your struggles. But when you lead by fear, these are the people that tell you to fake it till you make it. And that has never led to success. I remember being told, fake it till you make it early in my naval career. And I was so busy putting on a front that I had it all put together. And what I realized is that I didn't attract the people that needed to be in my life. Instead of I attracted the people that should have never been there in the first place. You have friends that aren't really your friends. They're the fake friends. They're not the friends that'll tell you what you need to hear. They're the ones that tell you what you want to hear. And when we surround ourselves with people like that, we are living in a false reality. And we see that over and over again through social media, through society, by surrounding ourselves with people who won't be straight up with you and be honest with you. Instead, they tell you the things that make you feel good. And sometimes leadership doesn't always feel good, does it? And so you want to start surrounding yourself with people who are going to be honest with you, that can speak into your life out of a place of love, not criticism. And remember, you'll never be criticized by somebody who's doing better than you. I have yet to see it. One thing that my faith has always also allowed me to do is help me realize that God doesn't care how perfect you pretend to be. He can turn your mess into your message if you're willing to surrender. You see, for a long time, I let guilt and shame, hinder my ability to be honest and be upfront and share with people the mess that I've been through, the mess that my life was. And I would not share that part of my life because I didn't want people to look at me differently. I wanted them to see me as this well put together naval officer, this person who's a leader, who has the credentials and the degrees, and this person who looks good in uniform. But on the inside, I was so empty and unfulfilled. And what I realized is I had to surrender my will, the way that I wanted things to go, and realize that my mess was my message and that my burdens were actually blessings for other people. And the same thing goes for you. Stop hiding behind the accolades and allow your burdens to be a blessing to other people. And if you read the Bible, it's filled with so many stories of people whose life were just a mess. They were a wreck. And God used those broken people and all their burdens to become blessings for other people. Your test that life gives you becomes your testimony. And what you do is you're allowed to give people hope that they too can do it, that they too, if they put themselves together, they get a vision, they get values and virtues, and they align their discipline with something that's of purpose and fulfillment, that they too can overcome this current situation or circumstance that they're in right now. And that's the only thing that has allowed me to get to where I'm at today, is I had to surrender what I believed my life should be and what it should look like, and realize that I had to let go of the fear of what people might think and hold on to the faith that God has given me and the message that he has put inside my heart, and understand that it wasn't just for me, that my burdens weren't just for me. They were to turn them into blessings for other people. And that's why this podcast was created, so that I can share the good news, that I can share my message in hopes that it would help somebody else get through their mess that they might be going through or that they will go through. Because so many people get stuck in life. They let their struggles become stumbling blocks instead of stepping stones to where they need to go. And people like you and I, when we are able to share and peel back the layers of this false reality of this highlight reel and share the truth, then people are able to build the courage and confidence to take steps forward towards their purpose. And so don't hold back. Don't try to be perfect. Understand that we are all in progression and that nobody has it figured out. And I want to leave you with this. Our jobs as leaders is to be a blessing, not a burden to other people. You see, when we don't heal from our past, we continue to bleed on people that never even cut us. And I see this with leaders today, is that they carry this baggage into their position and their title, and they get promoted and they get put in positions of authority. And then they use that authority to push people down instead of lift them up. And if you're listening to this, I want you to think about this. How are you being a light in your workplace? How are you being a light in your household? How are you being the example that people desperately need today? If you've been blessed to be in a position of authority, to be in a leadership position, it's something that you shouldn't take lightly. You should use it as an example of what's possible. Don't continue to be the problem. And when people want to quit, help them see what they could be if they just continue to push forward and give them that gentle nudge. However, don't waste your time with people who choose to play the victim. That victim mentality never serves anybody. And if they're not ready, then that's okay. Continue to move on to the next person that you lead and help them see what's possible. And if they take action, remember, we can't do the work for them, but we can work alongside them to get them to where they want to be. And if you run into people that don't want to hear it, they don't want to do the work, they're not ready to pursue their purpose, then that's completely okay. Not everybody's going to be primed for success in the moment, but eventually they will come back and ask you for help. And just be prepared to give them grace and to share with them how they can move forward. I hope this lesson served you guys. As always, if you're looking to level up your life and your leadership and your legacy, download the free resources that I have by clicking on the link below in the comments, and I'll see you on the next episode.